Separate the myths from the facts. Welcome to Healthy View Radio with your trio of co-hosts, Andrea Beeman, Lisa Lutan, and Michelle Fenninghouse. Today, you'll learn what it takes to be healthy and happy within a stressful world from 3 experts walking their talk. Here is Lisa, Andrea, and Michelle.
Hello, all of you fabulous people. Welcome back to another dose of Healthy View Radio with me, Andrea Beeman, and my awesome co-hosts, Lisa Lutan and Michelle Fenninghaus. How you girls feeling? You feeling fabulous?
I'm feeling awesome.
For real? Or you just...
Well, now I do, because you said.
That's like the Lego movie, no? Everything is awesome.
I love that song.
It is awesome. And every week on our show, we bring you the hottest topics in health and wellness. And this week, we are covering the most important topic ever. It's actually the one thing that you cannot live healthfully without. You can try, but you will not be successful if you do not have this topic that we are covering today at the forefront of your life. It's that important. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, I'm going to leave you hanging for just a moment while I thank our sponsors. For those of you that need a little hit of vitamin D3 to help you make it through winter, check out Zoller Supplements. Go to www.zollerd3.com. Use coupon code HVRZD335 to get 35% off your purchase of vitamin D3. And of course, all of those links are going to be in our show notes, just in case you don't know how to speed write. And I'd also like to thank Giovanni Eco Chic Cosmetics. After the show, head on over to giovannicosmetics.com/HVR to get you $2 coupon. Plus, when you use that coupon at any Whole Foods market, you get an additional 25% off. Talk about the holiday spirit. Our sponsors are very generous with you guys and gals out there on the interwebs. Okay, so now let's get back to our most important topic ever. Get ready. Yes, here it comes, Lisa. Get ready. It's something that everyone needs, but many folks neglect. Yes, it's your own self-care. And people are going, what the heck is a self-care? Self-care is any activity that we do deliberately in order to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical health. And although it's a simple concept, it's something most people overlook. But it's apparent when you're sitting in an airplane and the flight attendant runs through the safety measures for the flight. He or she will tell you that when the oxygen masks drop, you need to put your own mask on before you help anyone else. That's what self-care is, because if you're not breathing, you certainly won't be able to help anyone. So it's imperative that you help yourself first. So I'm going to start with my most awesome co-hosts. What do you do on a daily basis to ensure that your own self-care is taken care of first, not last, not second? I know there's mommies over there. Go, girls.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me is the cooking. And people find it to be a drag, or I don't got time to cook, or I don't, like to cook, and this, that, and the other thing. But for me, if I'm not cooking, then I'm not eating well, and my whole body just starts to collapse to a pile of ash on the ground. I get swept up into the chimney. It's just a bad scene. So, so cooking. So that takes priority over, maybe other things that other people do in their lives that I don't get time for. But, it's always about that. I'm even doing some cooking classes this weekend. Girls should come.
Good.
Very cool. So for me, I would say my mornings are typically the time where a lot of the self-care happens. And I have a real serious morning routine. And that includes meditation. I've been getting into tapping. I do some gratitude journaling. I do a whole bunch of stuff within that morning. And then I do exercise almost every day, because if I'm not taking care of myself, as we all know, all of us who've had health crises, we can literally collapse. So these to me are non-negotiables. These are things that keep me functioning at a high level.
Yeah, I agree with both you girls. Between the cooking and the meditation and getting up and taking care of yourself, if I don't take care of myself first, I can't take care of anyone else. And it's very apparent. And an interesting thing happened yesterday in my lack of self-care. Are you girls ready for this?
You're not perfect all the time?
Oh, no. Wait till you hear this story. Your jaws are going to drop Oh my gosh, girls. So yesterday I had a very, very busy day. I mean, it was really back to back to back to back to back to back to back. And then I had a party to go to last night. Now, normally I get out during the day, I take my walk, I get up in the morning, I meditate, I do my exercise, all that stuff. But yesterday it was really nonstop. And then it came time for dinner, but I had to go out to this party, right? It was a gathering of all my friends and fellow herbalists, right? And I said, you know what? They're going to have some food there, so I'll be good. I'll be good, right? And I go to the party and I bring with me some chartreuse. Do you girls know what chartreuse is?
The color?
Oh, chartreuse.
I thought you were going to say charcuterie and you were pronouncing it wrong.
Yes, I was bringing sausages. No, I was bringing salami to the party. No, I was bringing chartreuse. It's an old alcoholic beverage made by French monks. It has 122 different herbs in it. It's amazing. It's 110 proof, right? So I bring my little chartreuse to the party. I get there, I'm saying hello to everybody. There's a little bit of food on the table, some chips, maybe a piece of bread, a cookie.
Uh-oh.
Right? I'm on an empty stomach. I haven't eaten since 2:00, right? Lunchtime. I'm on an empty stomach. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll have a little cookie or something and I'll go grab something to eat afterwards. So my friend Maeve is there and I'm like, Maeve, I got the chartreuse. And she's excited because it's very warming to the heart, right? It has these herbs that are warming to the heart.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So we don't have any ice and we just fill our glasses with this 110 proof chartreuse. And I'm feeling fine, feeling good. And, not realizing that I did not have a glass of water before I drank the chartreuse. And then I was talking to everybody, having a good time. And next thing you know, I'm like, let me just get a little more. I'm okay. I can handle this. I'm an adult, right? I get the second glass. I neglect again my self-care, which is normally I will have a glass of water in between alcoholic drinks. Now I'm on an empty stomach on 110 proof alcohol. Within about an hour, I noticed that I'm feeling unusually hot. like a fire was burning inside my body and coming up to my face, and I'm getting like sweat beads coming down. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm feeling really uncomfortable right now.
And hot flash.
This was kicking off my hot flashes. I'm telling you that right now. So, in my chartreuse moment, I neglect to remember that there is an actual water cooler in this area. I'm still walking around. I'm like, wow, this is really uncomfortably hot and horrifying. And finally, I get a glass of water. I suck it down and I go, I got to go down into the lobby where there's air. I go down into the lobby. I'm full of fire, alcohol, sweat beading here. And I know that I am feeling a little bit schnockered, right? I'm feeling schnockered, right? 2 glasses of chartreuse on an empty stomach with just one little tiny glass of water. After that, I said, I got to get out of here. I'm going to throw up all over this place, but I don't have anything in my stomach. I have to put something in my stomach. So I leave the party and I get in a cab and I go home and I get a pizza because I'm like, I got to get something to suck up this alcohol. I need a sponge to suck up this alcohol and move it through my body as quickly as possible so that I don't get sick. So this is a rare vision, by the way, to see Andrea Beeman walking through the city streets with a pizza pie. It's like seeing the Yeti or the abominable snowman. You're never going to see something like that.
I haven't noticed any of those photos on your website.
This is a very rare occasion. So I come home, I come up the stairs, and my husband he's been battling a horrible head cold for the past 2 days. And he's sitting on the couch. Now, here I come with a pizza pie, kind of drunk. Right? And he's sitting on the couch and he's like, help me. I need something. Please tea. Please get me tea. I don't feel good. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, I can't take care of you right now. You're just going to have to stay there on the couch and cry. And let me just go eat some pizza. I'll put the tea water on. Right. So in my inability to take care of myself, I couldn't take care of my husband. Right. I come home. I mean, I did eventually make him tea, but not after I scarfed down 2 slices of pizza, which Lord have mercy. It started to make me feel better, believe it or not. So that is an extreme case of where my own lack of self-care impacted not only me, but my husband and probably anybody I came in contact with. I didn't even say goodbye to anybody at the party. I was just boom, gone out of there. So I think that self-care is really important.
And I'm sure imagine if you had like 2 little kids at home too that are like,
oh no,
I'm hungry, mommy, I'm hungry. That is the worst. I cannot have hangovers. Like I do not allow myself to have a hangover because the misery that comes with having hangovers and children at the same time is never worth it. Never. I don't even want to smell that chartreuse.
I'm just imagining them in the pizza parlor with this drunk woman smelling of herbs walking in. Give me anything you got.
Yeah, like I had 2 grandma pizzas. Give me 2 of the white pizzas. Give me 2 of the margarita pizzas. Like slices. They were all different slices. And I was very composed. Because I wasn't at the point of throwing up drunk, but I was certainly a little dizzy and hot, and I needed to eat and go to bed. So my idea of just go and have one little drink on an empty stomach with no water. No, that's a big fail in self-care.
Well, what's really interesting is that in the moment, pizza was a form of self-care.
Yeah.
Right. Now we wouldn't normally think of pizza that way, but you were taking care of yourself in that moment. And I think that most human beings are quite good at in the moment self-care. I'm tired. I will have coffee. I'm whatever. I'm going to do this thing right now that's going to help me. I'm going to throw up drunk. I'm going to have something. We've all been there. But I think the real trick with self-care is thinking far enough ahead that you are taking care of, I like to think of it as taking care of my future self. Right? So like, what is my future self going to need tonight at the party with the chartreuse? Oh, damn, I better eat some dinner. Or what is my future self going to need in 40 years, when we retire? And I think self-care starts to take on a whole lot more meaning. And sometimes it's like, putting money in your 401k is a form of self-care.
Yes, it is a form of self-care.
And I think people are really confused with the word self-care. It's not something we heard when we were growing up. And a lot of people think, oh, I'll get my nails done. That's something that's taking care of me. But I'm like, no, that's maintenance. This is not self-care. The self-care is like what you said, like preparing for the future and also replenishment, filling that well up again so that you have more to give to people. And there is tremendous confusion around this issue. I'm so glad we're doing a show on this.
Yeah, it's important. It is important. Like what you were talking about, it's not like people think, well, I got to take care of myself. This is a pain in the butt. I hear it all the time from clients. I can't put myself first. I got to take care of my husband. I got to take care of my kids. I got to take care of this. I got to take care of that. And I always tell them, you can't take care of anybody else if you're not taken care of, or you could do it for a period of time. And then you're going to crash and burn. Like you said earlier, Lisa, if you don't take care of yourself and you're out there trying to take care of everybody else's needs, you're going to crash and burn every single time.
Yeah, like we all did, right?
It's very common. And I don't know. Do you think, you girls, would you agree it's more common with women than with men? Not to be too, overgeneralizing here, but.
I think so. I think that we know as women, we're natural, maybe not natural, but we're expected to be the caregiver of not just ourselves and our family, but the world. And so I think that we do run ourselves ragged. Seems like a little bit more than the men, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just, dealing with females, working with more females. So I'm not sure about that one.
Oh, that's funny. Although, I watch my husband because he works with men as well. He does men's coaching, mm-hmm. And they also will have the same stuff come up over and over and over again. So I think it's, like women are the caregivers generally. But, you also have men that are in men and men relationships and men that are now stay-at-home dads. So they're in that too. It's not, I think we're definitely in a shift. We're in a shift where, they're now going to start to see, some of the stuff that women have had to do for so long, which,
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I think it's really exciting. Yeah, I agree with you. I think most of our time it's women or whoever holding up everyone else. And I always tell my clients, we got to flip that, right? We got to flip that little chart, put you on top, and everything is below you, and everything's going to flow downward from a person who's got her own cup full.
Oh, the trickle down theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't we have that in the 80s? Weren't they talking about, oh, wait, Michelle wasn't born in the 80s.
79, Andrea, 79.
79. She squeaked in there. Yeah, so today we're going to, talk a lot about self-care, and we're going to hear about different forms of self-care and other ways. I mean, if you girls could give me one thing right now that you would suggest for self-care, what somebody could do today, what do you think?
Go to bed.
Go to bed.
I'm gonna go with deep breathing. I like the 3x3. 3 times a day, just close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. And that is a life changer right there.
That's a good one. I've used that many times myself. I agree. That's a good in the moment. Oh, and you got to take care of yourself in the moment, right? Maybe other than the pizza, the breathing is a good one in the moment.
The pizza was good. It was a sponge. It was the sponge that I needed to soak up that alcohol and get it the heck out of my body. Yeah. It's funny how we get into disaster mode, right? If there's no self-care on the the previous, right? The preventative self-care, we get into disaster mode. So that's what happened to me last night. Thank God I'm still alive. Made it through the night.
Glad you made it today.
Yeah. Well, the body heals pretty quickly when you take care of it most of the time, right? So it's not what you do once in a while that harms the human body. It's what you do on a daily basis. So if on a daily basis, you're neglecting yourself over and over and over and over again, that's a disaster waiting to happen. But my body's got a pretty good bounce back. So today, to help us get back into alignment with our own self-care, we have Brodie Welch. She is a licensed acupuncturist, a board-certified herbalist, Chinese medicine expert, a group coach, and self-care strategist. She's the founder of Life in Balance Acupuncture in Corvallis, Oregon. In addition to her clinical practice, Brodie helps high-achieving women put themselves on their own to-do list so they can trade stress and burnout for energy, joy, and vibrant health. She has helped thousands of clients improve their digestion, sleep, and mood, dial in a regular body-mind practice, and step into the next version of themselves. She's also the creator and host of A Healthy Curiosity, the podcast that explores what it takes to be well in a busy world. And then later on in the show, we also have health coach Lindsey Goldwasser, and her priority with her clients is to share her knowledge and experience of holistic nutrition and wellness information to build lasting, healthy self-care habits. So don't go away. We'll be right back right after this break with self-care.
All clear.
Thank you.
Yep.
Nice one.
Brodie, you there?
Hello, Brodie.
Yeah.
You're streaming live on Facebook right now, even though we're in the break.
What was that?
Lisa was just saying that even though we're on break from the show, we are broadcasting live to our Facebook page. So we live stream.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, just so you know. Just so you don't say anything too crazy. Although I do encourage you to say crazy things.
I'm impressed with the parallel processing.
It's quite impressive, isn't it? We give Michelle kudos for that.
We're hanging on over here, but I think it's all working. So thanks for being here, Brodie. I'm so happy to get a chance to talk with you again.
I am thrilled to be here, although I don't really know why you guys need me. You seem to have covered all of it.
We need an outside perspective, Brodie, so we can see ourselves more clearly.
All right, I can roll with that.
Oh, and for those of you that are on Facebook right now, put into the feed what you do for your own self-care. Or if you have a dramatic lack of self-care story like the one I shared, that would be a lot of fun as well.
Oh, Angela was saying over here on Facebook, she wrote, hope it was a gluten-free pizza.
No, it was straight up hard gluten. It was extra gluten because I needed all the gluten I can to just take all that alcohol right out.
See, sometimes it's good for you.
Yeah, I'm a gluten girl. I'll admit it.
She's a gluten girl.
I'm a gluten girl. It hasn't killed me yet. I'm still alive. I also like gluten beer.
Living in a gluten world.
Well, it's a premise from Chinese medicine and Ayurveda that really anything can be medicine or neutral or poison, depending on who you are and what you have going on. So, like there's in this moment the pizza, the gluten-y pizza.
And the dose, right?
That's
six pieces.
No,
I only ate 3.
Before you said 2, now it's 3.
Yeah, well, it's all coming back to me now.
You're listening to Andrea Beeman, Lisa Luton, and Michelle Fennighaus with Healthy View Radio. Do you have a question or comment for the show? Please call us right now at 1-866-472-5792. That's 1-866-472-5792. Or send us an email from our Voice America radio page. You'll find connections to reach any of the hosts there. Now, back to Healthy View Radio.
Welcome back to Healthy View Radio. I am Lisa Lutan. I'm here with Andrea Beeman, Michelle Fennighaus, and I'll be introducing our guest, Brodie, very shortly. But if you just popped on, Andrea was telling us a great story about how she went to a party, got drunk, and had to eat. Was it 6 pieces?
No, it was only 3.
And I have to admit, part of me was super jealous about this because I love pizza. But the truth is, if I eat pizza, you know what happens to me? Like bloating, like you couldn't even imagine. But you know what? Thank goodness I got my Atrantil. And truthfully, if you are a bloater, Atrantil is a game changer. Like it just takes that bloat and you kind of go, maybe not that fast, but it's super awesome. And I really recommend you check it out. And they have a discount. They're giving lovemytummy.com/HVR. They'll give you 10% off of this stuff. And I can't say enough about it. Anyway, so excited to have Brodie Welch on the show today. As Andrea mentioned, Brodie is a licensed acupuncturist, board certified herbalist, Chinese medicine expert, group coach, and self-care strategist. Brodie, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
You know, I forgot to mention one thing about Brodie. She is a kick-ass karaoke singer. I got to witness it firsthand in person, and I was so impressed, Brodie. Like, seriously, you're like in my book of impressive individuals after that.
Well, that was my karaoke debut that you witnessed, Lisa. So thanks. I'll keep rolling.
Way! You're such a natural. Mm-hmm. Well, if this Chinese medicine doesn't work out, you have another option there.
Sweet. I'll keep that in mind.
Okay. So, Brodie, we like to start all of our guests with a couple of Ask Every Guest questions. So let's start with, what did you have for breakfast today?
For breakfast, I had a green smoothie that involved a whole bunch of cilantro, an apple, some water, about a thumb's worth of ginger, about a quarter cup of shredded coconut, a little bit of avocado, all blended up, and it was delicious.
And a pizza?
Yeah, you blend it right up. You blend it in there.
But maybe later.
Great. Sounds awesome. What is the one thing you do every day that has the greatest impact on your life?
It's hard to say, but I would just go with the morning routine. Mornings are mine, and when they're not, the day is just wrong.
Okay. And what is your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure is this raw hot chocolate beverage that I make with stevia and cardamom, and it is just like, it is my favorite thing on the planet. That and going at the moment, binge watching stupid Netflix while walking on the treadmill.
Like, what are you watching now?
What was that?
What are you watching now? What show?
Jane the Virgin.
Oh, that's cute. I've seen a few of those.
I have a question about the raw hot chocolate.
Yeah.
How can you have a raw hot chocolate? Doesn't it become like a chocolate milk or something like that?
No, it's like, so the raw cacao powder, you mix it with the hot water, you mix it with the yummy spices and the stevia, and it just, it all just kind of works. It's delicious.
But wait, once you put in the hot water, doesn't it become not raw? Or is it?
No, it's not hot enough to cook it.
Oh.
I had the same question.
You did.
Sounded like an oxymoron, which is very intriguing.
So Brodie, tell us, it seems like you're doing so many things, Chinese medicine, yoga, scientific traditions. Like, how does this all come together and blend into self-care?
Well, so I've had a clinical practice practicing acupuncture, and a lot of people don't necessarily know that Chinese medicine encompasses acupuncture as probably the sexiest branch, but there's other branches too that are basically lifestyle and diet, as well as herbology and qigong, or energy exercise. So a lot of what I notice is that when patients come in and they are talking about, say they're being treated for digestive issues or for insomnia or depression or anxiety or fertility or back pain or whatever it is they're here for, I'm not necessarily serving them to the best of my ability if I'm just throwing needles at them and sending them home with herbs, because really the choices that they're making every day in their lives are going to be far more long lasting than what I as a practitioner can do in the office just once a week or once a month or however often. And so what I noticed is that I would have these super smart, super motivated people come wanting to see me for various things. And I would send them home with these little self-care prescription pads and then check in with them at their next visit and say like, okay, so how'd you do with that? Starting that breathing practice or that meditation practice or, upgrading your food choices. And they tell me that it was going great for a couple of days, but then life got in the way and they found themselves bumped down off the top of their to-do list. And so I realized that actually I needed to create a different container to support people in making like the really long-lasting changes. Because like there's always going to be people that are content to have me do the heavy lifting for them, and that's fine. It's like just you can keep being a patient forever. I'll continue to support you. But where I feel like what's most exciting for me is helping people really have breakthroughs and to really step into the best version of themselves that they can imagine. And so that's where the coaching comes in. And that's where realizing that kind of the missing piece in healthcare right now, I believe, is groups. And so the idea that even if I were coaching somebody one-on-one, just the idea of it, like the birds flying south for the winter, they do it in a V shape, right? They do it so that it's easier on everybody when everyone knows where they're going and everyone's motivated to make these healthy choices. Because really, it's self-care is not something our culture supports, right? Like we live in this culture of busyness and productivity, and where women are absolutely socialized to put everyone else's needs before our own. And it can be really, really hard to make changes by yourself. And so that's where I got into creating kind of self-care boot camps and group coaching programs where people get together for an entire year is the model I'm moving towards. But it started with just 11 weeks to level up your life. And really just seeing the fact that everybody's staying connected, in a private forum, being able to watch each other's progress and be inspired by that and by each other's daily choices got people there so much faster than working one-on-one. So basically that's how I'm splitting my time. And the podcast is a super fun way of just being able to interview experts and be able to use that really as a resource for people who are trying to make healthy change.
Brodie, that's excellent. The fact that you're building a community, like in all of the health and wellness circles, whenever there's a community, a support system around an idea, people are more likely to stay with it. Like you look at NA and AA, and even when like outside of that stuff, even in those communities where they say they have the longest lifespans, the people that are in community are the healthiest, meaning they have a circle of people that are like-minded and doing the similar things and all that stuff. So that's great what you're doing.
it's really something that people are hungry for, right? And we know that actually for women, that this is probably true for men too, but that feeling like they have friends and a community is as big of a factor as cigarette smoking in determining mortality. And so it's the kind of thing where being able to feel like, I mean, it's hard to make change in daily life, right? Like that we're creatures of habit, and that whatever habits we have, if we're in a habit of, grabbing that bagel and coffee for breakfast, if we're in the habit of not working out, if we're in the habit of not meditating, if we're in the habit basically of letting our doing overwhelm our being, then it's really hard to make that change. It's like we are creatures of habit, not willpower. And so until something becomes autopilot and just habitual, it's going to take a lot of work. And that's why people aren't necessarily able to make these changes on their own. It's so much easier, so much more inspiring to be reminded that you're worth taking care of. And that's something that I think it's really helpful to have somebody else hold up that mirror for you on a regular basis and be like, sweetie, you are worth it, right? Like you have a right to take care of yourself.
And don't you find often in these groups that people are more honest with the people in the group than sometimes they are with their own friends or family, because they're not part of their daily life, and they can understand, since they're coming around a similar theme, they can understand what other people are going through.
Absolutely. I think that's a really important point. And the fact that not only are these people, people are coming together because most people are not on a growth path. Most people are content to stay where they're at. And so just finding other people who are committed to growing and changing, it can be really, can be a really unique experience. But also it's the fact that that our culture, it's basically bragging rights to be busy and exhausted all the time. And if you're not running yourself into the ground, you must not be doing enough. And what's wrong with you? And so you might not, be standing around with the other moms or the other professionals or the other, wherever you're at, where you're gathered with other people, there's going to be somebody who is sort of humble bragging about just how stressed out and exhausted they are. And so, that's not necessarily if you're really committed to change, you have to give up that badge of honor of being that stressed out and exhausted person who is whose choices are dictated by their lack of time and their lack of integrity with themselves.
Amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brodie, you're like a Boston girl. How do you end up in Oregon, working in Chinese medicine and acupuncture, these other things, and teaching Qigong?
Oh, well, the plan A was to try to change the world all at once. And, I went to college in Connecticut. I studied basically government history, economics, philosophy, realized that was going to set me up for a life that I was not going to be happy in. Kind of thankfully there are people who are trying to change the world, but I knew for me that was the path to burnout and frustration. And so I just kind of let it all go. And I decided to, I'd always been told, oh, you have a healing touch. So I went to massage school, and in massage school, I found shiatsu, which is rooted in Chinese medical theory. It's a form of body work. And I just fell in love, Chinese medicine, the language around that basically everything in life is about balance, balancing yin and yang, and that the goal is that we're connected to our environment. That really spoke to the environmental activist in me, and the sense of spirituality that I got from walking in the woods, that near Walden Ponds, and that sort of East Coast. Nature was as close to my spiritual path as anything. And so I just felt like, wow, there's some amazing stuff here. I just need to keep learning more. And so I fell in love with Chinese medicine, did the schooling, and hung out my shingle 14 years ago. And of course, that I've talked a little bit already about how that's evolved into what I'm doing now. So Oregon is just an amazing place it really is where the values are a little different out here as opposed to the sort of the East Coast achievement culture. It's a little bit more balanced. There's a lot of emphasis on just being quality of life as a higher value than material success.
I loved what you just said, Brodie, about the high achievement culture. You're talking to three New England or Northeast girls right here, and that high achievement culture is real. So What do you tell someone?
And I was definitely like, I was the classic overachiever and running myself into the ground, even at an early age. The reason that I'm so passionate about self-care is because it's been my biggest struggle. And so this is some hard won stuff. And then realizing that actually there is, the way to change culture, if we need to put some nails in the coffin of the culture of busyness, that the way to change culture is to create a new one, right? To create a counterculture that's around health and a community that's organized around recognizing that we as women, we have a right too. We have a right to not just get through our day, but to really feel like we're living life from a place of centered joy.
Absolutely. And that it's not selfish, that this is something that's important and is a necessity, correct?
Beyond not selfish, it's going to be when we are willing to put ourselves at the top of our own to-do list, it is not only the most powerful thing we can do to affirm our health and our self-worth, but it puts us in the most powerful position possible to support the people in our lives, to be the most creative and the most productive. It's and this is where Chinese medicine's idea of paradox, I think, can be really useful to think about, is that we've all seen the yin yang symbol, and we all can think about times in our lives where we've maybe only gotten 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and we have a lot of work to do the next day. So the sleep is the yin. The day or the activity is the yang. And so you need good yin to have good yang. If you've only got 2 hours of sleep, your productivity and your creativity and your ability to be loving and patient is just, it's just in the toilet. And so the idea that actually
I don't want to run out of time here. So will you let our listeners know where they can learn more about you and your programs?
Absolutely. BrodieWelch.com, Brodie with an IE, Welch with a CH, is my online home, and they can read all about Level Up and the podcast, A Healthy Curiosity, there.
So great having you on the show today, Brodie. It just went a little too fast, so we'll have to have you back again.
Yeah, Brodie, you sound like you're my sister.
Seriously, I feel the New England kinship with all of you, of the same tribe.
Absolutely. So we're going to be coming up with Lindsey Goldwasser soon, who's an upcoming health coach, talking about her knowledge and experience of holistic nutrition and wellness. But I just want to tell you guys for a sec about this cool product, because we were talking about Brodie's favorite hot cacao. Well, you can get mushroom hot cacao from Four Sigmatic. And this stuff is super, super cool. Mushrooms are the new superfood. You might want to give it a try. And
new superfood.
Yeah. Okay, so what I've been actually experimenting with Four Sigmatic products, I like to make some of these little energy balls sometimes, like chopping up nuts and putting different things. And I take some of these, either this one or one of their other products, and I mix it in. It gives it like a little bit of flavor that's really, really good. And you can find foursigmatic.com/HVR. Get 15% off when you go there. That's FOUR Sigmatic, SIGMATIC.com/HVR, like Healthy View Radio, for 15% off. So we will be back shortly with Lindsey, and keep watching. See you in a bit.
All clear.
All right. Brodie, thank you so much.
Oh, that was so much fun. Thank you.
Brodie, so funny. When I first started 20 years ago, I studied shiatsu, and it really, just like you, it just connected me to health in a whole different way.
Yeah, right. It's like the Chinese medicine lens is, it's a powerful one to look through, and the world doesn't ever really look the same.
Yeah. Oh my God. Totally. It's a whole new world. Wait, isn't that a song on a Disney thing? Oh,
you can sing it.
A whole new world.
There's one question I wish we had time for with Brodie. Lisa, you were going to say you see self-care as a feminist issue. Why is that? Could you answer that in 10 seconds, Brodie?
Sure. That women are socialized to take care of everybody else first. women have to work harder to get the same amount of money that men do. And so there is a lot of incentive to put ourselves last. And really it's a culture of yang addiction, valuing the yang over the yin, the productivity over the beingness. And so there's so many layers and ramifications for that, like the material over the spiritual, and the how it looks over how it feels. And this is something that women are especially affected by.
I agree with you. Thank you. Thanks for fitting that in. I think we got to bring Lindsey on the line so we can come back to our third segment. Hey, Rod?
Yep, Lindsey. Lindsey, you there?
Yep.
There you are. Perfect.
Hi, Lindsey.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Great. Hey, this is Michelle. I'm going to be running you through these questions in the third segment, and it's a short time period, so if you keep your answers a little bit on the shorter side, I'll be able to ask you more of them.
Okay.
Thanks.
Here we go.
Talk on today's hot topics.
You're listening to Andrea Beeman, Lisa Lutan, and Michelle Fennighaus with Healthy View Radio. Do you have a question or comment for the show? Please call us right now at 1-866-472-5792. That's 1-866-472-5792. Or send us an email from our Voice America radio page. You'll find connections to reach any of the hosts there. Now, back to Healthy View Radio.
Welcome back to Healthy View Radio. I am Michelle Fennighaus, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Andrea Beeman and Lisa Lutan. And we'd like to thank our sponsor, Atrantil, for digestive relief. Visit lovemytummy.com/HVR and save 10%. Well, hopefully you guys are not going to have too many digestive problems because you've been obviously practicing extreme self-care after this episode.
And not eating pizza.
Self-care has been the topic of today's show. And as I tell my clients, it isn't always pretty. Sometimes self-care is like the least sexy thing in the world. It's balancing your checkbook. It's choosing to maybe skip that holiday party, not because you're drunk, Andrea, but because you need to get to bed early because you've been sorting 40 pounds of Legos every night, getting them ready for Christmas. Seriously, you guys, we bought my kids 40 pounds of Legos. I got this great deal on Craigslist. And
oh my God, they're going to create a city. They're going to build a Lego city in your house.
So I've been sorting them by color. Okay, anyway. The things that we decide not to do, the way we take care of our future self, that's how we, in the long run, we go further in life and succeed in wildly fabulous ways. So I'd like to introduce you to our second guest, Lindsey Goldwasser, who also knows a thing or two about extreme self-care. In 2010, Lindsey began her career as an early childhood special education teacher, which was her dream job. But as she settled into it, she noticed a shift in her digestion, and suddenly foods that used to fuel her left her exhausted and in pain. Lindsey's diet became more and more limited due to chronic sinus infections. Oh, which I know a lot about, Lindsey, yeah. And digestive troubles, may have been there myself one time. And then in 2015, she decided it was time to take back control of her health and shifted her lifestyle from sickness to wellness. And that is self-care right there, people. She obtained yoga teacher certifications and later went on to graduate from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, where she learned that the body is able to heal itself. Lindsey's priority with her clients is to share her knowledge and experience of holistic nutrition and wellness information to build lasting, healthy habits. So Lindsey, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
We're so glad to have you here. And since we've been talking about self-care, and I do love the term extreme self-care, because to me that puts it beyond, the pedicure. I want to know what's one way that you practice extreme self-care in your life?
The biggest way that I practice self-care is saying no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell us more about that.
I found, especially since I shifted careers and I am supporting myself, there's so many opportunities which are amazing. And it's easy to fall into yes, yes, yes. But when that happens for me, I spread myself so thin that everything ends up being subpar, and you just have to figure out when to say no to support yourself.
Well, we're glad you said yes to joining us on Healthy View Radio. What's something you've said no to recently?
Something I said no to, it was teaching a yoga class that I was at one point really would have loved to teach, but the timing was just completely wrong, and I was so overwhelmed with everything else going on, I just had to say no. Good for you.
Good for you. So I mentioned that in your bio, you mentioned sinus infections, and I mentioned that I have totally been there with the sinus infections. I think it's that sinus time of year for everybody. So what advice do you have for people suffering with sinus problems? Maybe even Andrea's husband.
Yeah, so I was able, with dietary and wellness changes, I was able to shift from 5 to 7 sinus infections a year to, I haven't gotten a sinus infection in 3 years.
Wow.
So pretty big, yeah. And for me, the biggest thing was cutting out dairy and moving every day and drinking water.
There you go. All right, we're all on it. I think the cutting out dairy was really helpful for me too. And I'm back on it though. Are you back on dairy? Or are you still off of it?
I have cream in my coffee and I love it. And every once in a while, I will have dairy if I really want it, because I don't believe in total restriction forever, because I think then you just want it more. But I definitely notice a difference in my digestion and with congestion if I, have 3 or 4 days in a row where I'm digging into the dairy.
I'm glad you're paying attention to your body to see what works. But that's great for everybody to hear, that you can cure yourself of something by taking out a food, but that doesn't mean you can never have any of it again for the rest of your life.
Like pizza.
Absolutely.
We like that. Well, tell us, with your business, are you working on anything new and exciting right now?
So I'm just finishing up a program called Handle the Holiday Hump. And it's been a 4-week proactive series that's all on Facebook, all online. And every week I've just been releasing new information to stay ahead of the curve during the holidays. So then after Christmas time and when January 1st comes, you don't feel like you have to take 10 steps back before you can take 1 step forward, and you're ready to start 2018 on the right foot.
Sounds pretty good.
So what are some ways, everybody's getting all crazy with the holiday shopping and everything going on. What are some ways that we can sneak self-care into our daily rituals so that we don't burn out?
I think the biggest thing is, one, not to overthink it. So not to wrap your head around having to do one thing every single day, but to schedule it in your calendar, just like you schedule in lunch, just like you schedule in your holiday party. Schedule in your workout, or schedule in your massage, or schedule in your 30 minutes a day that can be completely uninterrupted, and commit to that.
That's smart.
I like the 30 minutes a day where you just stare at the wall. Sometimes I need that.
I like the massage. That made me excited.
Good stuff. Yeah, you're right, Lisa, with the shopping and the craziness right now. I was on Fifth Avenue the other day, and it was like a madhouse. I'm like, oh my God, all we need is one person to say fire, and we're all going to die from the stampede. Everybody's going in all the stores. And we need more of that staring at the wall this time of year. Stay off Fifth Avenue.
Yeah,
and get into the massage parlors.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's possible.
So, Lindsey, I know you teach yoga in addition to your health coaching services. And I was thinking about this because sometimes, I wonder if you have any clients or students like this. You go to yoga as a form of self-care, supposedly. Mm-hmm. But then, you hit traffic and you're cursing in the car and you can't find a parking spot and you're late and you run in, and then you're sitting there and you're comparing yourself to everybody else and their yoga pants compared to you and your yoga pants, and you can't do that pose and you're pissed. So what kind of advice do you have for the frustrated yogis out there who are trying for self-care, but it's backfiring?
I would just honor where you are in that day and let that be an experience for you, and just dust it off. You still made it. Who cares where your mind is? You're in a place where you don't have your phone, where you can't check your email, where you're not mindlessly snacking on food, and you're in a really positive space. And I would just go from there, let your mind do whatever it's going to do and just keep coming back.
Good advice.
Nice.
So not judging ourselves on top of it all.
Yeah, I think if we can always approach things from a place of curiosity and an inquisitive nature instead of judgment, like you're already 1 foot ahead of so many people.
So let's assume that we get this all right. We're making more time for ourselves. We're walking into 2018. What would be one really great habit for us to try to add to our calendar, add to our self-care routine in the new year?
I think, and I know it's one of my things, is to just take 5 minutes a day and to either sit in silence or meditation or do some sort of breath work. I've noticed for me, if I can just take such a short time and start my day in that way, my entire experience of relationships in that day and things I get done is completely different.
That's the truth, sister. Lisa was talking about that earlier, like starting the day with just breathing, breath work, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. It's so important.
And good for digestion too.
Good for everything.
Good for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's phenomenal. I think you're going to have an amazing 2018 ahead of you, Lindsey, with all that you're bringing to the world. Can you share your URL with our listeners?
Sure. So I can be found at novawholesomehealth.com. So NOVA, like Northern Virginia, wholesomehealth.com.
Excellent. And what was the name of your Facebook thing again? Hump or something like that?
It's called Handle the Holiday Hump.
Oh, a nice alliteration. Handle the Holiday Hump. 3 H's.
Thank you so much for being here today with us, Lindsey.
Thank you so much for having me, and I've enjoyed your show so far.
Oh, thanks. Keep coming back, sister. Keep coming back. We got a lot more fun stuff coming up.
We sure do.
I can't wait to hear it.
So as we kind of wrap up today's show, you guys, I know we were saying in the beginning, Andrea, this is the most important topic. Like, scratch everything else. This is the most important topic. What are you girls going to do differently this week with self-care on the brain?
I'm going to say more no's, but I do say no. Like, I have a rule of thumb, like if I'm not screaming, yes, 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 then it's a no. It just has to be, because we can be busy all the time, and that's not good.
It's true. It's true. And I'm a no girl too. I say no to a lot of stuff, except for a second glass at the party. I say no to a lot of stuff. But this week, it's interesting. I had a massage set up with my gal who I go to, and then I had to cancel it because we were going to go see Star Wars with the kids on Friday, and then one of the kids can't make it, and I neglected to put the massage back in on Friday. Yes, Lisa, I see that cute little face of yours. It's going back on the calendar. I'm getting on the calendar for Friday tomorrow massage, because I would have just put it to next week.
I'm going to book one right now.
I'm booking one right now on my phone, on my app. My massage
app.
That's really funny. This week is so busy, with the holidays and everything. Get prepared. I have a, viola concert tomorrow morning at 8:20 in the morning to go to. We've got all kinds of kid stuff. And I think that the best thing that I can do to answer my own question is really think about what I'm doing and ask, is this serving me? Mm. Is this serving me? Like, do I really even want to go to that viola concert? I mean, I do. I happen to want to go see my 6-year-old pluck his viola. I
do. Have to go, yes.
I will. But no, I don't have to. You know what I mean? And that's
if you don't go, he's going to be traumatized and lots of therapy for years and years.
I'll go.
Father will go. No, I am going to go. But that is the kind of question that I'm asking myself. Does it serve to bake these Christmas cookies? Does it serve to decorate the whole house, or is just the one damn tree enough? So I'll leave you guys with that. For all of our listeners, if you've been digging our show, please head on over to healthyviewradio.com/review and leave us a star rating and a written review. That URL is going to take you straight to iTunes. So you can
wait a minute. You said leave us a star rating. Leave us a 5-star rating.
I will to leave the star count up to you.
No. I say no.
I thought you were going to say leave us a 5-paragraph review.
You don't even need the review, just a 5. No, just kidding. We'd love your review. 5 stars if you feel.
If you're feeling it. Thank you guys.
In the holiday spirit.
And thank you also to our sponsor, Zoller, for your vitamin D fix. Head on over to ZollerD3.com and use coupon code HBRZD335 to save 35%. Thank you all for being here. Take care of yourselves. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All clear.
Thanks, A-Rod.